All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Raynham Zoning Board of Appeals for, where are we, August 28th?
Yes.
And the participating board members, to my left, Charles Carey, Associate Member of the Board. To my right, Peter Shondak, Clerk of the Court. My name's Carl Varane. I'm the Chairman of the Board. The procedures will be transcribed and recorded to provide full and accurate minutes and to allow full participation of the clerk. Before we get started, the petition number 992, is that the Cumberland Farms petition? Okay.
The first one.
Oh, 99, I'm sorry. I would like to point out one or two things. Who's here for Cumberland Farms? Okay. What we are going to suggest doing, what we want to do is, your traffic study, we'd like to have that reviewed. I'd like some input from the Chief of Police and from the Fire Department with respect to the general situation there and their feelings about it. And in order to do that, what I would suggest we do, and you can do it either way, I would call the meeting to order, put that on the record, continue it for some period of time that's agreeable to everybody, and save you and us going through the whole presentation tonight. If you want to go through it tonight, you're welcome to do that, and we'll be sitting here with bated breath. Okay, but I figured that way it makes some sense. You go through it once, and you don't, you're not trying to remember what happened the last time around, and so on. So,
To the peer review, that was for engineering. I know the plans went out for peer review for structural. You're suggesting to send it out for traffic peer review as well?
I would. And we have dealt in the past with Judith Nitch Engineering. If we send it to them, and you'll be kind enough to
Whatever they need.
you got it. Judith Nitch is still good, right, Maureen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let me call the meeting to order then, and go ahead and do that, and that'll. Sure, sure.
What's usually a turnaround for her?
For niche?
Yeah, to kind of get back.
She's pretty good.
Something like this? Yeah, 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Let me call this hearing to order. This is petition number 989, Cumberland Farms. Would the clerk please read the petition?
Raynham Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 28, 2019 at 7 p.m. at the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider petition number 989, Cumberland Farms, Inc., by its attorney Douglas A. Troyer, Esquire, Braintree, Mass., request for special permit pursuant to Raynham zoning bylaws, section 7.4, specific uses authorized by special permit to allow a gasoline station, and special permit pursuant to Raynham zoning bylaws, section 6.6.7 A, design requirements for all signs, movement to allow a changing message board sign. Locus is 883 Broadway, Assessors Map 4, Lot 209-0, Raynham. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should attend the hearing. Copy of the plan and application may be viewed in full at the Raynham Town Clerk's office during scheduled business hours. And butters is signed by Mr. Lally,
Thank you.
Michael Lally.
With respect to this matter, would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Good evening, Board. My name is Doug Troyer. I represent Cumberland Farms, the applicant.
And Mr. Troyer, for the record, we've had some discussion prior to going on the record with this matter, and as a procedural matter, the suggestion has been made by this board that it might make sense, expedite things and make things a little bit more cohesive. The board wants to have some input from an engineer of our choosing with respect to the traffic study that was submitted by the petitioner. And also, we'd like some input from the police chief and the fire chief, and get their thoughts on the matter. And in order to, I think, most easily accomplish that, it would make sense to go ahead and continue this matter for some short period of time to give us a chance to go ahead and do what we have to do with the engineers, and then come back together and do the entire presentation at that time. rather than piecemeal it out.
I think that makes the most sense as well. I think having a cohesive hearing whereby everything could be raised that time in one session, if possible,
Sure.
does make sense, and we're willing to do that. It's my understanding it may take about 2 to 3 weeks for for a peer review to kind of get the reports to it. I would love to try and get a hearing scheduled for late September, if possible.
I think that's being a little ambitious.
1st of October.
Maybe around the middle of October?
Would love, we're going before the planning board for the first time
When?
on the 5th,
5th of October?
September.
5th of September?
S-
They're just opening it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I know I know that you like to stagger these hearings out, because I do need a site plan review for this as well, and am open to suggestions on how best to deal with the scheduling. Could we table it as soon as the traffic study gets back, try and get on for the earliest possible hearing?
I need a specific date, again, and not necessarily from you right at this point,
Yeah.
I'm saying. Personally, I need a specific date because there are things happening in September and
Understood.
October that need taken care of.
Yeah, our situation is, obviously, we're under a
Sure.
lease agreement
Absolutely.
with certain contingencies involved as well, so that's, my client is hoping to try
Sure.
and move it along as quickly as we can, but I understand the procedural aspect, and we
Yeah.
need to give the peer review an opportunity to do what they need to do, and for this board to review the report as well.
And I
so.
have no great joy in hanging on to this. I'd like to see it moved out also.
Is it possible to pick a date late September? If it's not suitable, I will be amendable and agreeing to sign whenever it would need to basically continue to the next available date if it comes up that
What do we
way?
do with publication then?
Oh, you do
Well,
need public,
I only have to post the next date. We have to pick a date, but I won't be here the 18th and the 25th. Those
Of-
last
Of September?
So,
Um,
unless you guys want to do it in your own.
I got medical stuff going on that's got to be taken care of, so. Yeah, I hate to hold you up, but I've got to have like
I understand.
first week in October, and we'll
What's
push
the
for that.
earliest date in October we can get? That would be,
October 1st would be the earliest date you could get.
The second.
okay.
October 2nd, that's pretty close.
If we could do that, and then if we do run into issues where you don't have your report in time, we will cooperate with the town to
Okay.
make whatever necessary contingencies. Maybe we could do it over email
Mhm.
if necessary at that point.
Sure, that's all right.
Thank you.
All right. Move to continue this hearing until October 2nd? Second?
In favor.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
This matter is continued to October 2nd, same place, same
Same
time.
time, same place.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless you want to do it once as practice, and then.
Thank you. Jeez. Must have been something I said.
Next one on the docket.
Next one on the docket.
The Raynham Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 28th, 2019, 7 PM at the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider petition number 990, Ryan E. Prophet, attorney for Deborah Ribello, Raynham, Mass. Request for a variance from zoning bylaws, section 5.1, minimum requirements area to allow the property of 88 Orchard Street, Raynham, to be divided into two lots containing 33,532 and 31,571 square feet, an area so parcel 2 may be built upon as previously subdivided in 1973. Locus is 88 Orchard Street, assessors map 11, lot 86, Raynham, Mass. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should attend the hearing. Copy of the plan and application will be viewed in full at the Raynham Town Clerk's office during scheduled business hours, and Michael Lally signed.
Thank you. Just as a procedural matter, I forgot to introduce the participating board members for the record. Charles Carey, Associate Member, Peter Shondell, Clerk, and I'm Carl Verana. And the meeting was called to order at 10 minutes after 7. Would anyone who intends to give testimony with respect to this matter please rise? Anybody that's here that's going to talk with respect to this?
Yes, good evening. Good evening, board members. My name is Attorney Ryan Prophet. I represent the petitioner, Barbara Verbello.
We won't make you take an oath. Anybody here is going to say anything with respect to this? If you are, stand up. Okay. In that case, I'm sorry, yeah, you can present your reasons for granting the petition.
Thank you so much. As I said, I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Deborah Verbello. We are looking for a variance, actually two variances from section 5.1 of the zoning bylaws requiring residential A lots to have 40,000 square feet. So there's actually a little bit of history with regards to this property. The property is located at 88 Orchard Street in Raynham, Mass. It was formerly owned and then co-owned with the petitioner's mother, Barbara Sleezer. Both of them are longtime Raynham residents. And in 1973, Mrs. Sleezer had the property at 88 Orchard Street subdivided into two parcels. Now, at that time, the zoning bylaws only required 30,000 square feet. The plan was signed off on by the Board of Appeals and recorded with the Registry of Deeds. I believe I've given you all a copy of it. Here's another copy if you'd like it, if you'd like to see it. Since that time, a few things have changed. One is that the zoning bylaws were amended in 1995 to increase the zoning lot size in residential A to 40,000 square feet. And also Massachusetts laws have changed to the fact that when when one person owns two contiguous pieces of land, they merge for the purposes of zoning. So unbeknownst to my client, unbeknownst to her mother, these changes happened, and unfortunately, the plan that was recorded is no longer in compliance with the zoning requirements. We have put together a new plan based upon the same exact plan that was recorded. We're not asking for anything more than what was recorded and approved back in 1973. As you can see, Lot 1 here has 33,532 square feet of land. Lot 2 would have 371 square feet of land. Now, if you look at the property surrounding this property, almost all of them are undersized with regards to the zoning bylaws. I have a couple of these to kind of show you what the two properties, even subdivided, would look as compared to the surrounding properties. As you can see, they're either bigger or as big as the surrounding properties. So we're asking for the variance for both of these properties because the first property, property 1, will become non-conforming if the plan is allowed. And obviously the second parcel, parcel number 2, is non-conforming because both are under 40. But they're only under 40 by a few thousand square feet. It's not a big amount of land, under 40,000 square feet. Both are in the 30s. Both are bigger than most in the surrounding neighborhood. So we believe that the petitioner's relief can be granted without substantial degradation from the intent of the bylaw, because the intent of the bylaws was to keep properties at around 40,000 square feet and to keep it in conformity with the other properties surrounding it. As I said, this is absolutely in conformity with the property surrounding it and actually bigger. We don't think that it can be granted without any substantial detriment to the health or safety or convenience or morals or welfare of either the inhabitants of Raynham or the surrounding neighborhoods, because again, it's bigger than most properties in that area. And it'll be a substantial detriment because my client believed that they actually had two properties here. It was signed off by the planning board back in 1973. They thought it was approved, and it wasn't until now, when they're trying to potentially sell the second piece of property, that they ran into these problems. They've counted on that second piece of property being able to be sold, so it will be a substantial detriment to them. So we're asking for the two variances for the first lot and the second lot, and I'll take any questions you have at this time.
What's the ownership chain on this again in 19?
So Barbara Sleezer, who was my Deborah Bella's mother, owned the property at that time.
As of 1973 we're talking
1973, yep.
Okay,
And then Ms. Sleazer and Ms. Rebello, or Ms. Sleazer deeded the property to herself and Ms. Rebello while she was still...
when was that?
I don't have the exact date for that.
Approximately.
I believe it was in the 1990s or 2000s. 1993. 1993.
Okay. And has that ownership maintained as of today?
That has been maintained. Ms. Sleazer unfortunately has passed away, so Ms. Rebello owns the property solely now.
Peter? Any questions?
So they, I mean, when they deeded the property in 93, the amendment didn't come till 95. So they probably were under the impression it was probably grandfathered, or, I mean,
What do we do with the issue that this is all lapsed and it's ancient history and long gone?
You mean that they've taken this long to come to this decision? I think it was just really a matter of timing. Mrs. Sleazer always intended this to be something that she could sell to help
But
with
they got a
retirement.
variance, they got a variance in 1973.
I don't believe they got a variance.
What did they get?
You see, I wish they had got a variance because it would still be of record, but there's no variance
It would
recorded.
also have
at the-
lapsed after 2 years.
Yeah, and it's not recorded at the Registry of Deeds, and I did check with the ZBA office to see if the file went back this far, and I don't think we could find it.
so is there anything on record stating that it was subdivided? Or?
The plan was of record. The plan was recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
The plan showing the two parcel.
Yep, the plan showing the two parcels was recorded at the Registry of Deeds in Book 140, page 20.
And what was the date on that? Was that the 1973?
That was the 1973, I believe it was June 25th, 1973.
Charlie?
I don't have any questions right now.
All right. Would anyone else who's in favor of this petition, would anybody else care to say anything in favor of this petition? Yes, no? Would you like to say anything, ma'am?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured you had something to do with it, so.
Mrs. Rebello, if you'd like to speak, you're
I was very intent on looking at you and I just, no,
You have to swear
just
in.
that,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to raise your right hand and be sworn in, okay? You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
My mom kept it together afterward. So the taxes, she would just pay one tax instead of paying two taxes, which she had been doing since forever. But after my grandfather died, Lynn Leonard, the house was left to my mom and to her sister. And then she bought out her sister, and it just belonged to her. And then I was added to the deed.
Anybody ever talk about there being two parcels there, or you say they paid the taxes as one parcel?
They did pay the taxes as one parcel, but before that, she was paying two parcels.
And when would that have been, do you know?
From whenever my grandfather died until she took over.
When did your grandfather pass? Approximately.
In the 60s?
60s.
1960s.
Anybody else who wishes to be heard? Any other questions from the board?
So there's a record of her paying taxes on two lots from like the 60s to, say, 73,
Yep,
and then it switched to one?
yep.
If the board, if you actually look at the zoning map of Raynham, it's split into two. It actually is, split into two according to the town of Raynham records. I think Ms. Sleazer just got to the point where she didn't want to have two tax bills and added them together. There was no intention to keep it the one big property. It was always the intention to have two. I think it was just more of a convenience factor.
Peter?
I mean, what, did the taxes go down by putting it into one, or was it?
Yes,
So it did? So it's almost like you change it to one so you could pay less taxes, and now, after the fact, it's,
That's the problem.
yeah.
but she paid one second.
No, you can speak, go ahead.
She paid taxes before that on the two parcels of
Right,
property.
right.
In speaking with Mrs. Rebello, and I don't think there was ever an intention to ever make it to one or lessen taxes. I think it was more of a convenience issue, and always intended to have two pieces of property that they could, sell at one point. Mrs. Sleazer took the affirmative steps to actually hire an engineering company, to have the engineering company come out, do the plan, have it signed off by the planning board, and then recorded in the registry of deeds. It was always her intent to have two different pieces of property.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard with respect to this matter? Do you wish to say anything else with respect to your petition, sir?
Just in closing, I think the variances are warranted here. I don't think it's going to take away anything from the surrounding properties. If you look at the properties directly behind it, both of them are between 16 and 17,000 square feet. The property directly across from it is around 10,000 square feet. The property directly in front of them are about, I actually have the, I don't even have to do the abouts, I can give you the exacts. Property directly in front of it is 18,730 square feet. The property next to that is 16,988 square feet. The property directly next to it is 20,473 square feet. By allowing this variance, I mean, we're well above at 33 and 32,000 square feet than the properties surrounding it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
By the way, are there any objectors who are present here? I'm skipping and going backwards. Anybody who wishes to say anything in opposition to this petition? Okay. All right, in that case, I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. The board will go to executive session. All may remain while the board deliberates, but none may speak. Charlie?
Well, I think I have two main concerns. Number one being how the taxes initially sounds like they were separated, so there was clearly two distinct separate lots. Then at one point in time, they were combined, and it sounds as if there was a cost savings by doing that, and now wanting to separate those out again. And my other concern is, even though these lots may be larger than what's around them, lot number 2 is almost diminished by 9,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a couple of thousand square feet, it's almost 25% less.
25% reduction, okay. Yeah, I sort of had that feeling when I first looked at this, but the more I think about it, the less offensive it gets. I'm not so sure that I would conclude that this was some kind of a scheme to save on taxes and we'll put something over on the town type of thing. I don't know. My problem initially was that this goes back to things that happened and were decided back in 1973 and on, and know, my first reaction was, where you been for the last 45 years? You know, if you got it, why didn't you take advantage of it, or clearly separate it out, or do whatever you had to do? But I mean, it's a family. We're making lots bigger, not smaller here, and that's that's a pleasant surprise. You know, usually we're
Yeah.
looking at stuff that requests a 25% reduction under what the zoning calls for. So, I don't know. What do you think, Peter?
I mean, it seemed like they started out that they were paying for the two lots, and could have been out of convenience, because I know I don't like to have to come down and pay two bills, and that the intent was to make it just easier. I don't think it, like you said, I don't think it was to say, oh, I only want to have one lot now. It is tough going back, 40 some odd years, but I think the intent was there to have the two lots. And if they had even just filed a plan back, whatever, before 1995, it would probably be okay. I mean, the lot size, it is, like Charlie said, 9,000 less, but it's still, it's not like some of the ones we get in here coming in for like 15,000 square foot lot,
Right.
I don't think I think the intent was back then to have the two lots. It's just a procedural thing that they weren't aware of.
All right, so what do you think, Charlie? Anything else? Or?
I agree with Peter. I mean, I think that it sounds to me like the intent was there. Maybe everything wasn't done just right, but I don't think there was anything malicious about it. And even though it is a significant decrease, I would vote in favor of the petition.
Move for a vote on the petition. Second.
Second.
You
In favor?
in favor? In favor? In favor?
Aye.
The meeting is once again open. Anyone who is aggrieved by the objection, by the decision of the board, may file an appeal in Superior Court. That appeal must be filed with the town clerks within 20 days of the filing of the board's decision. Thank you. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
I didn't like this one at first at all, but the more I look at it,
Yeah.
you know,
I like when the registration runs out, you forget.
yeah, yeah. Which one we got?
991, this one is the garage.
Hmm?
We've already done this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this wasn't the person
Yes, yeah.
objecting about the view being black or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah.
Is this a refi?
No?
Oh, this one? No, she needs an appearance.
Yeah.
All right, the Raynham Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 28th, 2019, 7 PM at Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider petition number 991, Paula Gasparoni, Raynham, Mass., request for a variance from Raynham zoning bylaws, section 5.1, minimum requirements to allow construction of a 22-foot by 22-foot detached garage with a rear setback of 10.5 feet instead of the required 20-foot setback. Variance was previously granted to allow a 10.5-foot right sideline setback for the same shed. Locus is 15 First Street, assesses map 7, lot 184-0, Raynham, Mass. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should attend the hearing. A copy of the plan and application may be viewed in full at the Raynham Town Clerk's office during scheduled business hours. A letter signed by Michael Lally.
And again, for procedural purposes, the meeting is called to order at 7:30 PM. Participating board members: to my left, Charlie Carey; to my right, Peter Shondek. My name's Carl Verana. Would anyone who wishes to be heard with respect to this matter, would you please stand, raise your right hand? I assume that's everybody, because you're the only ones left.
Good.
Okay. You're the only two who are going to say anything? Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. Have a seat. Okay.
There's one more after.
Would the petitioner please present identify yourself and present the reasons for granting this petition?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, thank you for allowing us to appear before you this evening. My name is Azue Teniro. I'm a registered professional engineer and a registered professional land surveyor in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with the firm of ET Engineering in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Here with Mr. Paula Gasparoni, the owner and resident of the property. A few months ago, we came before the board for a variance. In reading the bylaw, we maintain that an accessory structure can in fact be constructed with a 10-foot setback, but the building department has had a history of interpreting it differently, even though it's a detached structure, and so that's why we're here for the variance. And clearly, owing to the topography and the shape of the land, and given the fact that it's a detached accessory structure, that it will not derogate from the intent of the bylaw, and that the variance that was given, we were meeting the rear setback, but the contractor, Mr. Andriad, went out there and then spoke with the butter in the back, Mr. Noblin, about perhaps leveling the area in the back so that Ms. Gasparoni can, from a practical standpoint, what has happened, if I may turn this around a little bit, Mr. Chairman, what's happened is, with the conforming with the 20-foot setback, the problem is she really has that patio in here. And so to be able to drive into the garage without having to maneuver into the patio, Mr. Andrea, the contractor, recommended that we shift it back so that it will be more practical and fit a little bit better with the shape of the land. And I do believe that it's consistent with the uses in the neighborhood and will not negatively affect anyone. And that's the extent of my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Charlie, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Peter?
When it, I don't think I was at the meeting for the other one, but when it was first proposed, there was, they're moving it just so it wouldn't go onto the existing patio, right?
Right.
So they wouldn't have,
So they wouldn't be driving through the
Right.
yes.
I mean, this is hindsight, but could you alleviate it by just putting the doors on this side and moving it to the left? The doors to the garage could be going out that way and moving it to the left, but I can see they want to have the doors here.
Yeah, the door to the garage, well, you can get a straight shot in here, but I wanted to be able to put a room here for the other, like plows and things like that.
Okay. And it doesn't, no, great. The land slopes down towards the garage?
That
from
is
the
correct,
abutters? Okay.
right, and by pulling it out, it also allows us a better room to have a better grading.
If I remember correctly, you had some argument that involved the slope of the land and so on the last time we saw you.
Well, well, when we wanted them to left, in the back, we didn't have the ability to, at the time, we didn't know that Mr. Noblin would allow any grading to go onto his land. And that is something that he's worked out with Mr. Andrea, the contractor, that they could do. So that would allow for that back area to be lowered a little bit more.
Okay? And that would make the access easier, wouldn't it?
That is correct, sir.
All right. Thank you. Are there any others here who wish to be heard in favor of this petition? You wish to say anything, ma'am?
No, I just think that if this does get positioned 10 more feet back, it's going to be, I think originally when the plot was planned out on paper, that I didn't really know that it was going to be that tight of a
Oh, could she state her name?
entrance.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Identify yourself.
Paula Gasparoni.
All right, thank you.
I didn't realize it was gonna be such a close in and out. Because originally, when we went for the variance, it was only supposed to be 6.5 feet from the side. But we weren't granted 6.5 feet. And if that were the case, I'd be able to just go right in from my driveway and out from my driveway. But because I had to move the building over an extra 4 feet, now going in and out, I have to wiggle in, and then backing out, I can, just visualizing it and being there, you can see the stairway to my house, the back steps, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, that little turn back into my driveway to back out. So having that extra space there between the back steps and where the entrance of the garage is going to be, I think is going to be a lot safer for me. I'm going to be able to have better snow removal ability from there, because piles of snow are right there in front of it. I probably won't even be able to use the garage.
Okay. All right, thank you.
It's just like he said, for practicality, it just makes more sense to put it back an extra 10 feet.
All right. Anyone else here who wishes to be heard in favor of this petition? Are there any objectors here to this petition tonight? Anybody who wishes to be heard in opposition? It's getting easier all the time. Would you summarize, sir? Are you satisfied with the information that you've given the board?
Mr. Chairman, yes, and I do believe that, again, the board can indeed find that owing to the shape and topography of the land and the soils, that there were, in fact, that those three elements justify the grant of this variance.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard with any other information regarding this matter? I would then declare the hearing closed. The board will go into executive session. All may remain, but none may speak. Peter?
I mean, it's closer than the required, but I don't think it's going to affect any of the neighboring properties.
My feeling was, well, look who's back. But the neighbors don't seem to object, and if anybody's going to be offended, it would be them. So I'm going to assume that there isn't any violent opposition to you up there. And they've done 10 feet on one side, give them an even 10 feet on the other side.
Yeah, seems fine to me.
There's no obstructions. It's a lot safer to have it positioned as it is now rather than 10 feet closer to the house.
Yeah,
So,
that's all right. Let's move to vote.
move to approve.
Move to- Second. I would open the meeting again and announce that the decision was a unanimous decision in favor of the petition. Anyone who has any objection to the decision may file an appeal to the Superior Court, and that appeal shall be filed with the town clerk within 20 days of the filing of the board's decision. Thank you. Good luck. All set. You don't have any more coming in on this, right? You sure now? You need that. You need that back bedroom a little wider, or? I looked at this, I started reading it, I said, wait a minute. Okay. All right. 992.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a good night.
The Raynham Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 28, 2019, at 7 p.m. at Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider petition number 992, Richard Costa, Shady Acres Estates LLC, Bridgewater, Mass., seeking variance and special permit pursuant of Raynham zoning bylaws 7.4 alterations change, or extension of pre-existing non-conforming structures or uses for the expansion and modifications to an existing non-conforming mobile trailer home park residential use in the business district and the industrial development district at 1540 Broadway, Assessors Map 3, Lot 42, Raynham, Mass. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should attend the hearing. A copy of the plan and applications may be viewed in full at the Raynham Town Clerk's office during scheduled business hours. Michael Lally signed the petitioners.
Are there any correspondence or anything in there? I thought there wasn't one of them, no?
Any what?
Correspondence?
No.
No, okay, no. Thank you again. For the record, I would announce that the meeting was called to order at about 20 minutes of 8. And participating board members are to my left, Charlie Carey, to my right, Peter Shonda, and my name's Carl Verana. Would anyone who wishes to give testimony with respect to this, please stand and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You may be seated. Would the petitioner please present the reasons for granting this petition?
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, my name is Azure Tonero. I'm a registered professional engineer and land surveyor in Massachusetts with the firm of ET Engineering Enterprises, Inc. in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. I have here with me a manager from Shady Acres LLC, Mr. Richard Costa, and his associate, Mr. Nick Marioni. Well, this is a project, a trailer mobile home park that's been in existence from the 1950s. It's in the industrial and the business district. The industrial, I've got in our cyan color, the break in the districts. So the up and above is industrial and below is business. Trailer home park is not allowed in that district. However, this development has been in existence prior to the adoption of the zoning in the town and the bylaws related thereto. As you can see, it's a trailer mobile home park, and the new owners, they have not been the owners originally. The plan here is to revamp the project, the site, clean it up, improve the utilities, the stormwater, the sewer, the water, and actually remove a couple of buildings and clean it up and put a few more trailers in the back. As you can see, a good portion of the property is taken up by wetlands. And but we don't have, if you will, any direct residential abutters. The abutters you would have in here would have been those that are within the notification of the 300-foot radius from the location. Up and over here on the south side of the property is on land shown as the town of Raynham, and in the back, town of Raynham, and then over on the northwest and north side is the it's called a facility management corporation. So what we are looking to is dividing it into two phases. The first phase in the front is clean up on that area, sprucing it up with landscaping to improve the quality and the value of the project. And I think Mr. Costa and Mr. Marini can speak more into the how they want to improve the area, but we will also be improving drainage. I will be designing a new drainage system around the area and then provide for a better traffic circulation. So that's the extent of the what we hope to do here, Mr. Chairman. And I will let Mr. Costa and Mr. Marini add anything that they might have.
Okay, before we get to that, one thing that when I first looked at this map and this rendering and started looking at it more closely, I'm having a little bit of a tough time seeing exactly what it is that you want to do, or what's going to be touched and moved and relocated and so on. I wish this were a little, some kind of contrast in the color or something to show, but I'm having well, how many trailers are being affected by this?
We are proposing 17 trailers, Mr. Chairman.
You're proposing 17 additional trailers?
That is correct.
Okay. And you're also proposing moving some trailers around? Is that right?
No, there's an existing building out front here, a utility that we will reduce to provide a new maintenance garage, and then we will improve the access. Right now, it's all broken up, so that will all be improved, and then there will be landscaping introduced to spruce.
Where are the 17 new units?
Right here, Mr. Chairman, right here.
Okay.
So if you, the contrast,
These are a
the
little dark.
proposed is dark black lines,
Yeah,
and the existing is
The broken lines, okay.
the green line, grayscale to naturally. But I think once we have the landscaping design, that will be a little bit more informative. We just want to introduce ourselves and introduce the project, and then have the landscape architect work on the landscaping aspect of the work.
And have you must have gone before conservation and all that?
To get the wetlands approval.
Okay.
So they've done that. But there will be an actual notice of intent for the grading and the placement of those, and a site plan review with the planning board. But at the end of the day, it will be kind of presumptuous for us to go to them first, not knowing where we are with the board here, because the use and the modification of a non-conforming use starts here.
All right, anything else, anyone else who wishes to speak?
No, just, I'm Richard Coster, I'm one of the owners of the LLC. And so I'll explain. Well, first of all, we purchased the property in January, so I'd like to apologize for the condition of the property. We've been trying to make some headway into cleaning it up a little bit. We actually had the Board of Health down a couple of weeks ago to talk about a couple of problem trailers that are we want to eliminate, and they're obviously limited by what their jurisdiction is, but they gave us some good direction on how to handle some problem trailers. We cleaned up the front a little bit. And again, as Mr. Itanero said, everything highlighted is something that we're moving around. So there's an existing two-family on the property that really doesn't fit with the rest of it. So our intention is probably in between phase 1 and phase 2 is to eliminate the two-family and put conforming trailers to what everything else is in there. The idea of the phasing is if we do get approval to add these 17 units in the back, the roadway right now stops right about it here. These are existing trailers here. There's some relocation here, but the last existing trailer is right here. So this new roadway would allow us to add that. By the idea of doing this is it gives us putting the pads in, putting the roadway in, the money that we're going to, some of the money we're going to be gaining from the sale of those is going to allow us to redo all the roadways in 2 phases. The first phase is from Broadway into where it currently stops. That'll be completely replaced. The water lines are subpar. We're having problems with water in there constantly. So the idea is we're going to put waterways in. We're going to repair the sewage system, which, from what I understand, has only been in there about 7 years. Sewer isn't bad. but the water is a disaster. So we'll run a new main and run individual shut-offs to each unit, and that would be phase one. So phase one would create a brand new roadway all the way in the back. Phase two, once we generate some cash to pay for everything, phase two would come into the older section. We'd do the same thing there. We'd repave that. We'd close up right now this opening on this side is just open all the way down. We're going to choke that up a little bit, create a more defined entrance on that side.
I'm sorry to interrupt. How many units are there in there now?
33.
33.
33 including the...
No, plus a duplex.
Plus the duplex, so it's 33 plus, so 35 units total. We're going, for the total count for the increase is 17 in the new section, and then
55.
55 total. We'd go from 33 to
33
55.
to 55.
With the elimination of the two-family, and the only thing we're really adding there is over in this area here. There was a trailer right here. At some point, way before anybody can remember, the electric service is still there, all grown over, but there was a trailer that's no longer there, so we'd be putting one back in there, and then relocating a trailer in here to make this spacing. The spacing would be more in line with what's on the other side. And again, to address the fact that the property is in such deplorable condition. This week we're taking over trailer number 3. We're buying that unit. The intent is to remove that unit and slide in a new unit. And we're working on 3 additional trailers that we're trying to buy or work with the Board of Health to kind of move them along because they're just not functional, and pull them out and replace them. But we're working with limited funds, and this would give us the ability to do everything the right way. I'm new to trailer parks, so but I have done some subdivisions in the past, we're hoping to make this the way it should look, because right now it's deplorable, and I apologize for that. Any questions?
Have any questions, Peter?
Just a couple of quick ones. Over here, so that's going to be all parking on the new section?
Yes, the parking is designed we are going to revamp the old section when we get into phase 2.
To the same type of thing where there's parking, not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, not individual stuff, just haphazard. So this has Ms. De Niro designed defined parking spaces, which will stop the hazard way everybody parks at this point. And that's definitely part of that whole plan with the hammerhead.
Okay.
Charlie, you have any questions?
I do see a couple of other buildings, 24 feet by 36 feet.
That's actually a mobile home. The spacing, we didn't want to choke up the area too much with a standard 12 by 48, which is what we used as kind of the standard unit around here. So this unit here would be a short double wide, in addition to this unit up here. Okay. It was just for it fit with the staying away from the conservation area. Those fit better in those spots. About the same square footage, but a different footprint.
And do you have any plans in place for if you're adding 17 or thereabouts, 17 to 20 units, just to prevent any of the problems that you see now?
Yeah, well, one of the problems right now is the previous owner didn't have any rules and regulations in place. We're working with an attorney, with the assistance of Mr. Marioni, to create a formal rules and regulations. He's going to put them together. We're going to have the Attorney General's office approve them, because we've already researched. They approved the plans, the rules and regulations, which are which would be, they have a standard rule and reg that we would modify it slightly, send it to the Attorney General's office, and 90 days later they send it back. But they actually give an outline based on their rules and regulations. So we are working on that, but yeah, they had nothing, so we came in and kind of, I knew it was a project going in, so I'm not shocked. But that is definitely a problem. There's no rules for upkeep and what you can do and where you can park, and that's going to be fixed shortly. Hopefully we'll have the Attorney General's approval during the winter. We actually, one of the other things I almost forgot, when we in the spring, there was so much debris around the project that we sent out a notice, and I brought in 30-yard dumpsters, and with the intent that one might be enough for everybody to clean up the yard. We went through 3 of them, and we're probably going to bring them back in the fall and give everybody another chance to get it up. So believe if you weren't there before, it was worse, but it's still terrible.
And you said you're gonna make improvements to the incoming, well, the egress is coming in.
Yes.
So is it 2 now, or?
Right, that's going to be done in phase 1, probably in the spring, only because of the time frame. The plan is to burn that front area, a short burn, maybe a 3-foot burn. So take out everything that's in there, burn that up, fix this area in here, put some trees in the front, and then to the north part of the lot where the 2-family is, that's about a 40-foot opening right now. So we're going to choke that into a regular size street access opening and burn that side up also, and landscape that, so that the front from the street. I had a project in Brockton. It was a over 55 development, Chestnut Woods, and we burned the front of that, and it worked out good because it creates a break from the road sounds, and it creates a better living space in the back. So that's our intent there. Not a tall one, but you know, like about 3 feet. It's enough to catch the tire noise and kick it back into the street.
So it'll still have the 2?
It'll still have 2 entrances, yes.
And do you think do you have any idea how much more traffic you have going in and out with 17 to 20 new?
We're going from 35 to 55 total, so because the 17, and then there's
about 20 new.
About 20 new units. There isn't, surprisingly, there isn't a lot of traffic. You might.
Yeah, so.
Identify yourself, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Again, my name is Raynham Channel. On the Institute of Transportation Engineers land use codes. That's what everybody uses for planning. It's about 2.5, Y.5, it beats me, but it's 2.5 trips per unit per day.
Okay.
So if you take a 2.5, multiply by 50, that'll give you 25 plus 100, 125 vehicle trips in and out for the units.
And we're not, these are not big size units. They're basically, what we use for planning purposes was 12 by 48. They tend to be no more than 2 bedroom units. So they're not, it's not going to be a huge increase in people.
Okay. Is there anyone else here who wishes to be heard in favor of this petition? Did you have anything? No? Satisfied?
The only other thing, my name is Nick Weir.
Oops.
The only other thing that I would add to is we're exploring putting in a natural gas line, because there's natural gas on the street. We have a survey that we're drafting now that's going to go out to all the residents to see how many would be interested in connecting to it. It could be a big expense for them because a lot of them have propane and oil systems that may be too old to convert. But we're trying to find out how many would be interested to see what the gas company would charge us to do that, and then we'll make the decision whether or not we're going to run. I think we're going to run the natural gas in for our own units.
For the new ones. The gas pipe right now is on that side of the street. I've talked to one of the, I've talked to Ohio, and then I have a guy out here now that I'm talking to. So the intent is the rear units are going to have natural gas, so we're going to run it in. We're just kind of depends on, the hope is we get this planned, and then we can tear up this whole section of road and run a gas main into the back, and then in phase 2, tie in and try to get conversion. The people that are there are not, they don't have a lot of excess cash. I've talked to Mass Save about trying to get them to come in and assist some of the people, but the intent is to put natural gas in and get rid of the propane tanks and the oil tanks.
Good.
That's our hope.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard in favor of this petition? Anybody? You guys know? Are there any correspondence or no correspondence? Is there anyone who wishes to be heard with respect to this matter, either pro or con? Yes, ma'am.
I am Julia Cleveland. I've lived in Shady Acres Mobile Home Park for the last 22 years. Granted, these guys have only owned it for the last 8 months, but I have been complaining about the water in my driveway forever. And when I asked Nick over here to do something about it, he put some dirt down, which obviously with the heavy rains we have gets washed away. So I'm still stepping in water. And there has been rules and regulations when John Bengoni owned it. Okay? You had to upkeep things. And I've been taking all my stuff to the dump to clean my yard. Right now I need to clean my yard. I'm not gonna say that I don't. But I have been taking all my stuff to the dump to clean my yard. We were not aware of the 3 dumpsters that were supposedly up front for everybody to use. That was not noticed. We were not given notice. It was like, when they sold the place to me, it was done shady and sneaky, hence Shady Acres. So I don't feel that, okay, granted, if he wants to do what he wants to do with his property, because it's his property, but don't sit there and say in front of the board that, oh, we notified this. They didn't notify us about nothing. It's just, I'm the only one with a big mouth that will come over here and speak. Everybody else runs like little chickens, and I'm not a chicken,
I can see that.
okay?
Okay, I don't blame you.
I'm sorry.
Speak up, that's the only way you get anything.
I have been there for years.
Good
I've
for you.
never caused any trouble. The Raynham Police and the Fire Department have complained about the road conditions in there forever. I've been taken out of there by ambulance a couple of times, and the ambulance has slid. Okay, even once when these guys owned it. Okay, because they bought it in January. Okay, and the snow has come, and I have seen the ambulance slide. The Raynham police, whatever, I'm not gonna speak for them because I don't know for sure, but they are not happy with the place either.
Okay.
Okay, if these guys think that they can do what they need to do to fix it, I'm all for it. But don't sit there and say you're gonna do something and not do it, because I don't think that's fair to anybody in the town of Raynham or anybody that lives there.
And I would certainly agree with that.
I'm not gonna sit there and yell and say something at the trailer park and then not stand up here in front and say something.
Good for you.
You can call me what you want, think of me what you want, I don't care. I'm 57 years old, I do what I need to do, and that's life.
You're still a baby.
I still pay my taxes, I do what I need to do, so hey,
Good for you.
that's how I feel. I'm sorry, Nick, I know you tried.
I'm fine with that.
I told you right there at the trailer park that I was not gonna sit back and take this. And I understand you did try, and I'm not gonna say he didn't try, he did try. He's done way
Everything she
more than
says
John
is
has
true.
done.
Everything she says is true, there's not much we can do about the water, and we keep trying to direct it, but we need to deal with this whole drainage plan.
Sure.
Everything will be repaved, her driveway will be repaved, and we believe all the problems will go away at that point.
Okay,
What she says is true.
that's right.
Let's see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Would you folks care to say anything?
No, he's just with me, so he don't say nothing.
So he knows better than to say anything.
So I'm a big mouthpiece, I'm sorry. Admit it.
Okay. All right, board members have any other questions or comments or anything?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, ma'am, I have a question for you. So you raised a couple of issues. The gentlemen here they're saying that they wish to correct those issues.
Right.
So just a little confused if you are opposed to these newer plans or.
I'm not opposed, what I'm opposed to is them standing here saying they're gonna do it and not doing it. That's what I'm
Okay,
opposed
no,
to.
that's fine.
I need to see actions speak louder than words, I'm sorry. That's the way life has been the whole life. I mean, you're older than I am, so I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about.
Peter, do you wish to add anything?
Yes, I think have comments are well founded, yeah, but that's exactly why we are here, to get a comprehensive solution, and the board can indeed impose conditions that are verifiable. I think what we're planning to do as the engineer of record will alleviate a lot of that problem. But at the end of the day, they need to also be able to activate some of the new stuff to get more units so that they can generate the cash flow to be able to do all that work. But the work will be done. The work will be done, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody has any other comments? In that case, this meeting is closed. The board will go into executive session. All may remain, but none may speak. Peter?
Looks like they're looking to improve it. My only concern is, but they'll get their answer later as far as how close to the wetlands and if their swales and stuff will suffice as far as bringing the water away. But I mean, it looks like it's gonna help improve it, so.
Charlie?
I think that improving the site is very positive. They obviously have a plan of action. It makes sense to me that they do it in phases. My only concern or recommendation would be to have a set of policies and rules. So if there's problems with certain trailers, that they can follow up on that to resolve it
Yeah,
as soon
that's
as
something
possible.
they're gonna have to come up with
Right.
and put into play and make everybody in the park sign it. You can make that a condition of being in the park, and it's, everybody does that,
Sure, right.
so. Okay, I don't have a big problem with it, man. I go past that. It's just up the street from my office, and that's been, quite frankly, I could have used some serious improvement for a number of years. And,
Absolutely.
So if we get something in there, that's,
Can we count these as 40Bs?
pardon me?
Can't count these as 40Bs.
Move for a vote.
I move we approve.
Second.
Second, and likewise.
Excuse me, were there any, there's no conditions, or are there conditions?
Well, what are we gonna put on as conditions at this stage? You know?
No, just checking.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I thought I heard something earlier, but.
Yeah.
Make
the-
sure.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. All right. I would declare the meeting open again. The decision of the board is unanimously in favor of the petitioner. Anyone have any objections to the decision may file an appeal to the Superior Court, and that appeal shall be filed with the town clerk within 20 days of the filing of the board's decision with the town clerk. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Good for you. Speak up. You should always speak up.
Absolutely. We're gonna make it right.
All right?
Thank you.
Do I see you walking up and down the stairs to Russell Yule's office? Russell Yule?
Nope.
No, Brooklyn South Management?
Nope.
Just give it a look. We
I
have to
used,
act
I
on
used
that.
to, I used to be on the fire department in Brockton,
Ah,
so I retired, I actually retired in January, but
is that right?
it's something to do.
Need a hobby, right?
And you know,
That's for you.
so I had 32 years with them, and now, I'm not gonna make 32 here, but I'll put it out.
Never know.
Shot.
Never know.
Thank you very much.
Take care, no problem.
Good
Hey,
luck.
listen,
Thank you.
you get out there and fix that place up, and we'll be happy as a clam.
You
The
know what,
place has been,
it's
this place has been an eyesore for years, let's face it.
terrible.
It's horrible.
And we actually, like I said, so we're starting to buy units. I'm buying a backhoe tomorrow to.
We have more to do,
Yeah,
We
it's
have
gonna
more
be
to do?
just the general business.
Oh,
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
take
Good luck.
care. What am I looking at?
That's a request to withdraw the second half of that sign variance at Harbor Freight,
Oh, okay.
for the record, and then
All
we have
right.
minutes to approve.
Minutes to approve, okay.
That's it.
Harbor Freight is taking down the old pallet sign. Can you confirm that you will be withdrawing the variance petition?
So that was for the old Benny sign? or-
Yeah, yeah.
They're gonna use it, or they taking it down?
No, they're gonna withdraw, they took it down, they're gonna
Yeah.
withdraw.
It's already down.
So what do we need on this, anything? Just to accept
vote
the-
To accept
huh?
the withdrawal.
Vote to accept the withdrawal of Harbor Freight with respect to their old signs Yes,
So motion.
yes,
Second,
yes, yes, yes.
so they can't use the old one?
No,
No,
it's gone.
It's a landmark.
it is a landmark. Somebody should,
Landmark.
somebody should have grabbed that and put it in use that.
Museum.
Yeah,
I know, maybe it is.
So they couldn't get grandfathered?
No, no. it's true.
'Cause I know,
I
like,
don't think they were really interested.
Friendly's has theirs, it's grandfathered.
Yeah.
because it's
yeah.
Um,
Well.
do we have minutes, Paul?
Minutes.
Minutes.
Where are
Move to
they?
approve the minutes, or?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Then we can have Wayne shut us off.
Looking for a vote to approve the minutes for July 24, petition number 975, 986, 987, and 988.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Yes, yes, yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, if they fix that trailer park up, I'd be so happy.
Yeah,
That place has been an eyesore
putting that
forever.